Welcome everybody to Changing of the Hip Hop Guards. I'm the journalist Sincere. That's my partner Uncle E. And tonight we have the pleasure of being joined by the legendary Miami Boom Bap King, DJ Heron. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much, Uncle E. Sincere. I appreciate y'all having me on your show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to take it back a little bit, get to know you before we talk about this new project you have out with Thirstin, Howl the Third. For everybody who may not know or, maybe just need to be in tune, take us back to where you're born and raised.
I was born in Lima, Peru. I'm from South America, and I came to Brooklyn in '72. I was born in 1971. My first place I resided at was Coney Island, and then from Coney Island I moved to all around to Manhattan, then I went back to Queens, and then I ended up in Brooklyn. So I've been in Brooklyn all my life, pretty much. Then I moved to Miami like around 89, 90.
Okay.
And I've been here since.
Okay. Talk a little bit about teenage years for yourself growing up in New York.
Man, I went to PS 250 out in Brooklyn. I went to Frank and K Lane. I went to Most Holy Trinity. I was here when breaking was first starting out. I was here when the white gloves and the cardboard and the linoleum was on the floor with the block parties, I was here when it all started. I saw it all. I've seen the beginning of it. I've seen how it all cultured out. I wasn't the very beginning, but I did see the breaking part and how it intertwined and how before it was a business, how hip hop was a business, how it is now. But I was in New York when it first started. Unfortunately, my dad had a bad circulation, so we had to move somewhere where it was a lot of more heat, a little bit better for his circulation. So we ended up moving to Miami, and that's how I ended up down here.
Cool. So you say you moved to Miami about 88, 89? So you were probably what, 17, maybe 18?
17 years old. I wasn't DJing. I wasn't DJing yet.
Right.
I was pretty much just in New York carrying records for homies and carrying records for my cousin and stuff like that. He was DJing. I liked what he was doing, but at that time I was really more into like graffiti and dancing.
Okay.
If that made any sense.
Right.
But I knew definitely that I had some kind of inspiration when I loved the turntables and shit, so I knew I wanted to get into that. So when I got down here, I got to high school and one of my homies had turntables, and from then on it was a wrap. Just back to his crib every day with new records.
Okay. Before you talk about that though, can you tell me a little bit, because around the time you just said it, the early 80s, there was a lot going on in the city throughout the boroughs as far as hip hop and the scene that was happening. And you said you were heavy you were into the dance, the graffiti. What was it like though when you made the transition to Miami? Like as far as the scene goes, was it? I'm assuming it might have been. I mean, I know there was stuff going on in Miami, but I don't think it was exactly the same as what was happening in New York.
Not at all. It was, if I can explain how it was, just think about it. It's Luke Country. Big ups to Luke. It's Luke Country down here. There was no any bass music. There wasn't. As far as we could got hip hop was Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? That was as far as they got. I mean, plus it wasn't. You would get certain things down here, but you really had to go searching for what you ever wanted and shit. Big ups to my boy Classic. Like I definitely, we did some record hunting. Like we used to fly to New York just to pick up records and bring them down here. I used to carry records for my boy Classic, and he was the one that was DJing at all the clubs when I was like 17, 18 years old.
So was he more into the hip hop scene? I'm assuming out there.
Boom bap, kid, all day. We was always into boom bap. Even like trust me, we ended up getting records like before people got them in New York type stuff. That's how hunting. People didn't know about 45 Kings or or
Mm.
Brand Nubians or certain things like that. We were getting all kinds of vinyl where nobody even knew what we were playing type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
it got really interesting when Chris was playing on the sets. And I got really heavy into production at that time. I had my first record deal when I was 18 years old with Atlantic. So right
Okay.
at that time, when Chris was DJing and I was carrying, I did still spin. I got into scratching really heavy, but it was more mainly when I got into my production around 18 years old, and that was when I first got my first deal with Atlantic Records.
Wow. Okay. That's kind of fast. So talk a little bit about the process of the DJing before you talk about we'll get into the production part, but how did you hone your skills? You know what I mean? What dues did you have to
It
pay?
was more like it was like every day. We went to NMB high school, and we had a work release program where you went half a day to school and
Hmm.
the other half was work release. I mean, we still had to
Okay.
get a diploma. And Chris lived on 14th Avenue, literally like 3 or 4 blocks away from the school. And on the way to the school, on the way to his crib, there's 2 record stores, really 3 record stores that we pass by no matter what. We see them every day, no matter we go through the mall, because you had to go to the mall to go to his crib. So we would see a Specs music store. There was a Bobito's store on the corner where that's where all the underground stuff was. And then there was Peaches down the block. So we always went to Bobito's because it was funny because he didn't know what he had. Like he didn't know the culture. Like he didn't know who Lakeem Shabazz was or who 45 King was or who Karis One was. So when me and Chris used to get to his record store and go looking through the vinyl, and we also didn't know who to look for. All we did was know the knowledge of the DJs or the producers to search for. So we ended up getting like DJ Premier remixes for Lakeem Shabazz, like because of what
Right.
we were
Right.
looking for. We were looking for names. And it's not like we had something to listen to, because the only time we had something to listen to was when we took a trip back to New York and we sat out for 3 days. And I used to record mixes for Mr. Magic and Red Alert while we would play handball till like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would have cassette decks. We would go to Sam Goody's, fly to New York, leave Friday night, because Chris's girlfriend at that time used to have buddy passes for Pan Am. So we
Mm.
used to grab the tickets, fly to New York, go to Sam Goody, a box of batteries, 2 radios, and a box of cassettes, and just record all the shows, the hip hop shows. And then after we record them, fly back to Miami on a Sunday, dub them, and sell them to the kids on Monday, Tuesday type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Just
Nice.
and that's how we got to know all the new shit, because Red Alert would always play new stuff. Like I got recordings of Red Alert dropping "Welcome to the Terror Dome" for the first time, type, world premiere, and you hear his kid, yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
that on cassette type stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I got Pete Rock scratching over like Mecca and the Soul Brothers before he was even out, when he was just testing his music. So I used to listen to all that stuff and get inspired, and we used to bring it down to Miami, and that's where a lot of people got to know us from those angles. It was Third
Wow.
Eye Productions when we were younger. That was our
Okay.
crew.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about your influences before you got into DJing. Who were you looking up to?
Oh man, when I was in New York, there was 2 people I really influenced me. Like one of them was being Rakim. Uh, that was like, it was stuck in my dad's car. My dad when we were trying to buy a house in Miami, he had to fly down to Miami all the time. And you know how it is in New York. You have to move the car across the street because of the
Yeah. The
trash cans.
parking.
Right. So I was only like 12, 13 years old. And I had nobody, he had nobody else to move the car. My auntie couldn't drive. So he had to teach me how to move the car. So I used to take the car and drop Rakim inside there, check out my melody. That was the song. And I just fucking drove to school with the car. I parked it everywhere. I listened to my dad had a 71 Barracuda. And
Okay. Okay.
it was nice. He had some Krager rims, candy apple red. And when he taught me how to drive my car, I took advantage and shit. I drove with the schools everywhere, had girls in it and shit, fucking around. And I never got in trouble, which was a good thing. I stayed on that note. But it was that, and also make the music with your mouth, please. When I heard those two songs, were like, man, this is, this is what I want to listen to. And then I started listening to other stuff to, following through, you know what I'm saying? Those are my two big inspirations.
Right. Talk a little bit about, like E alluded to, getting into DJing and honing your skills. What kind of dues did you pay? Block parties, getting your name out there and getting your name circulated within the industry.
Well, I was I was always producing and stuff like that, and I was always, I had my studio, and then one day, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, I was in my studio, and somebody came to the door, and I opened the door. They said somebody familiar to it, and I got robbed. They put me at gunpoint, tied my hands up, took all my equipment, turntables, drum machine, hard drives. You name it, they took it. They didn't take my records though. You can still see them. This is like one of my walls. I got two of them. But they took everything. So I was like, "Fuck this! I'm out the business. I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm done. I stopped."
Right.
I went to work for a porn company, and then I went to work for a porn company, and I started off as just a stock boy. And I did like 7, 8 years working for this company. Big ups to East Coast News. And I ended up becoming a manager, shipping manager, shipping like $2 million a month type shit, delegating them to 30 people under me, moving this around. So me and the guys used to hang out and drink beer all the time to loosen up during the weekends, just not going into Friday, getting payday. And one day he goes to a friend of mine and says, "Yo, this nigga got turntables at the crib." I says, "All right, well, niggas said he could DJ and shit. Let's see if he could really DJ." Fuck it. So I brought, a crate of records. It was a party we was all hanging out on. And I got on and I started fucking around. And he said, "Yo, I'm selling these shits if you want them. 200 a piece." Shit, my whole check was on me at that moment. I bought them right there. I said, "All right, let me get them, So that's where it started. Like, I ended up buying turntables. And from turntables, I was like, shit, man, I'm going to need some speakers. So then I bought some speakers, and I'm going to need a mixer. Oh, shit, this and that. Then at that time, Serato was coming in. So I said, oh, shit, now I got to get a laptop. So I went and got me a PC. I didn't even have an Apple and shit, Got a PC and started getting into the PC. And it was like I started getting back into the groove. Then my homeboy, big ups to UB from THC, he goes, "Yo, I know you spin, nigga. I need a DJ for tonight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing this open mic. Can you just come and spin for me? You know what I'm saying? It ain't a lot of bread, but it is what it is." And fucking nigga, I was anxious and shit. I just got the new, Serato shit, the new PC laptop, and I'm about to go kill it and shit. So I went, and from there, it was like a $30, $40 gig, but it didn't matter to me. I was spinning. So he kept doing this, and all the friends saw me, "Oh shit, this nigga's spinning again," type shit. And, so I started getting into the gig. So I started setting up, using my connects. I had connects with other people that did shows and things like that. So I started getting in between the gigs and stuff like that, making my little 10%, booking ASAP, booking this person, booking this DJ, booking Stretch Armstrong, hooking up, setting up gigs for people and stuff like that, getting my little 10%. But then it came to my senses, like, it was like my 8th year working at the East Coast News, and I kind of got fired. I don't want to get into that, but it wasn't anything that I could control. And I had just some income tax money, and I was like, you know what? Instead of making this 10%, I'm just going to book somebody on my own bread. So I started doing my own shit. So because there was nobody doing shows down here. The shows, the guys that were doing shows, they weren't really doing shows. They were doing open mics, and they weren't really taking it all the way where, I wanted to get into the big time to do big shows and stuff like that. So I said, fuck it, I'm just going to take my money and take the risk and do it myself. So the first person I booked was Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan. Big ups to Ray. And it was I got him at a nice price, and I only had half because, income tax checks was like under 5 G's, and he was about 7 to 8 at that time. I really don't want to talk about it, but I had enough to book them.
Right.
And everything was just fucking. I'm gonna gamble, and I'm gonna go get, I'm gonna go get mine. I'm gonna push what I can. So I was already, there was this venue called The Stage where they were starting to do some hip hop stuff, and they were doing some stuff. You know what I'm saying? They weren't really really going in, but they were doing some stuff. So they gave me an opportunity after being in homies in Johan's ear for like a minute. Said, yo, you should let me do my own thing. This and this, that. He kept seeing me because at the same time when I started doing the show, Revolution Live, which is one of the biggest venues in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale, was already booking me to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because they like how I was playing, so I was already getting booked. So at the same time, I started doing the show. Boom, I did Ray. The next show I did the next month after, I did KRS-One. Then from there, I started going, I started booking myself because I started investing into myself because most of these guys weren't investing into me, taking it like saying, hey, I'm going to book this kid, I wasn't really out there. Plus, Chris wasn't really DJing anymore. The market had changed. A lot of things had changed in South Beach. Nobody was going to the beach anymore. The park on the beach is like $25 an hour. I don't know if you ever been to South Beach, but everything's changed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things have changed. So I took advantage of the moment when I booked Ray. I ended up selling 900 tickets. You know what I'm saying? And the guy, the owner of the club was like, yo, we didn't know if you could just do one Wu-Tang member. We thought it wouldn't work. They really didn't think that Ray could pack it in that much. And I was selling 950 tickets. This club could only hold like 500 to 600 people. So
nice.
It was crazy. So when I did KRS-One, I did 1,200 people because the numbers just get bigger as you start going along. So I just kept going month after month after month, started booking myself and booking. And that I went on a Smokers Club tour. In between that, I started doing other events for other people. So I ended up cornering the market down here as far as for doing all the promotions and hip hop music. If you look at my IG, everything as far, I created J Dilla Weekend.
I was there.
Yeah, I created that. I also did I did a lot of things down here besides just J Dilla Weekend, but.
Did you
I did the first battle between Maceo versus Ali Shahi Muhammad. I also did Pete Rock versus Premier.
Yeah.
I did I did a lot of stuff down here. So I was doing production, but mainly I was DJing. I was doing a lot of shows and stuff like that. And I had my own studio and everything, but it was just times were changing. Nobody was using the music business, and streaming was starting to come in, and I didn't want to sign to a label anymore. I had just gotten out of a Sony. I had signed to Sony. I had another deal with Sony. I was producing a group called Sindicato, which is a hip hop Latin hip hop group. I had a record deal for my label with Sony, and I had Don VA under my label, Fern, and pretty much I was rolling with that before I even got into before I was into the limelight of DJing. I was really just producing a lot of records. But that didn't work out with Sony because Sony Latino didn't know how to. I was doing boom bap shit for Sony Latino. They didn't know how do we market this shit?
How to market it? Yeah.
They didn't know how to it was like they didn't know about mixtapes and shit like that. So I started producing mixtapes with Tony Touch for the Latino market. I ended up having Tony Touch host. Big ups to Tony, here's my brother. We were hosting Sindicato mixtapes with nothing but Latin hip hop artists just going in. 8 individual hip hop artists, but they were all hip hop Miami artists. And that was pretty much when I left that. I started really doing the DJ thing hard, and I didn't want to sign to nobody. And I kind of stopped doing the production thing because when I got robbed, it's funny. When I got robbed, and to make a long story short, Sony came knocking on my door with a record deal 2 weeks after I got robbed of something that I showed them. So I had to recreate everything out of memory of what they wanted so I could make the deal work because they had stole my computer, hard drives, and everything. So I went, one of my homies had pretty much the same exact keyboard that I had. He had a Trinity. And I was like, I need to really get this, these 2 songs that they wanted and were giving me good, money for. And I put the songs together and I ended up producing 4 songs for the Sindicato album. And out of the 4 songs, 3 of them became singles out of the group. So that was a great look, on my part. But that was pretty much when I stopped doing that. Sony was like the worst, bro. Sony was like, I kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I never want to sign to a major ever again. I'm definitely go independent. So when I kind of put all my ducks in a row and figured out how this business is really running again, because at that time I was concentrating on label mates, the label to help me how to run my business, how to really get into. But now when you're independent, it's a whole different thing. You're by yourself now, and there's nobody paying for your engineering. There's nobody paying for your tracks.
Right.
There's nobody paying for your promo. There's nobody paying for your videos. There's nobody paying for your artwork. Nobody doing none of that. So it all becomes a little bit harder independently. And then you got to really focus on what you're actually putting out. You don't want to be a dub, be out there and put some corny shit out that nobody likes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So pretty much that's okay.
Dope. Did you ever were there any artists or any particular artists that you DJ'd for a little while, like as far as being there DJ?
Nobody on the mainstream. I did go on the road with Smoke Dizza. I went on the road with the Smokers Club tour with Smoke Dizza.
Yeah.
But Relly Rel DJ'd for him. But at that time, he was working with this artist called Malk Stewie, and I DJ'd for him on the tour. But I've opened up from having a residency with Maceo from De La Soul to, I could name you 100 names, bro. Like just down the line of people I've opened up, from Talib Kweli, from Slum Village. You name it. If you go look at my list of who I've opened up for, it's pretty crazy.
Right. Now you mentioned also that 18 is when you got signed for your production, correct?
Yes, when I was 18 years old.
18 years old. Talk a little bit about that. What led up to you getting signed? What was the production? What did they hear? And how did the deal come about?
So what? Well, back then, back in high school, I was just finishing high school. I graduated, and my little brother went to NMB also, and he hooked up with these 2 kids. One of them was called Smart, the other was called Sly Cat. And when I lived in North Miami Beach, I lived right behind the school. So when I used to practice my DJing and scratching and mixing and stuff like that, my house was right directly behind the school. So every time you heard music out my window, the kids would be in the schoolyard. They'd be listening. Okay. So these 2 kids, whenever I used to play shit, my brother would be sitting next to them and they'd be saying rhymes over while I was over in my house. That's how loud my shit was. I would bang out. I would, get out of school like maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The kids would still be there. My moms wouldn't be home, or nothing. Nobody be home and just me. And I'm banging out 2 18 subwoofers out of my bedroom, fucking just rocking out. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So my brother brings these 2 kids over and I say, yo, these kids are like one of the hottest kids in in preschool. They're not in high school yet. And they're dope and this and that. And they do these open mics and they're nasty. So I start to hear them and I start checking them out. I said, yo, that's pretty dope. Like these kids, they're nice. I haven't heard something like that in a while. So we did a little demo. We put a couple dollars together. And I hooked up with, at that time, before we got the record deal, I was like 17, 18. I was with Hugo Diaz from the Diaz brothers.
Oh, okay.
Hugo Diaz is the same guy who put out Pitbull. He's also worked on Lloyd Banks' album, the Diaz brothers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Their favorite Louis Diaz is the famous engineer that works on all the college stuff. He works on, so these are my brothers. I first started producing with Hugo on his drum machine. So when we first got the deal, and we put the demo together between me, Hugo, and Louis, and I hooked up the 2 kids, AJ and Sly Cat. when we got to do the deal, to put the deal together, I mean, we got the demo together, they started performing a demo, you know, here, there, open mics. And one of the open mics, it was a gentleman by the name of Courtney Deminick there, and short for Tony. And Tony saw them at the show and hit him up. Yo, what's up? You know, we like what you do. The kids were very intricate. Smart. If he would have stuck with it, you know, kept going, he had to move because one of his family members got sick. This was years after the deal and after everything with Atlantic had dropped. But they saw us and, yo, we got connects and this and that, from one thing left to another. They gave us contracts. We didn't give it to no lawyers, signed it here. You know, oh, yeah, you know, there was a little advance money, you know, $60K goes so far. You're giving 3 kids from high school $60,000. You know what I'm saying? At that time, that was a lot of money for a record. The record deal was $250, but there was a lot of stuff going on in between. We ended up only getting 20 grand a piece. Like, I had every color, cross color, calcanine, you know, it was stupid. But instead of reinvesting, you know, buying a drum machine or going to buy a record, nigga, I got stupid. Come on, I'm 18, you know, 18, you know how it is, kid. So, you know, I went and I bought a drum machine, I bought an MPC, and I didn't have, you know, I really didn't have to go to Hugo's house a lot, but Hugo's still my boy. We ended up getting, you know, when Courtney brought us to the table with Atlantic, and that's where everything started happening for me and the Diaz brothers. I ended up doing a remix for, like, I was doing a lot of alias things without using my name. I really didn't even have DJ Heron yet. I really didn't even have a business. I was known as LBS, you know, but I was producing under the Diaz brothers name. So I was, you know, kind of just getting a check, you know what I'm saying? Working with them, you know, but I didn't care because those are the homies, you know what I'm saying? It's different when you don't know and it's somebody that didn't know. But at the same time, I understood where my place was at, you know what I'm saying? I knew that everybody plays their position in the role, and that was my position at that time. But to make a long story short, when we signed a record deal with Atlantic, they shelved us, you know what I'm saying? To this day, I only did 12, 13 songs and we recorded them. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It wasn't really like a full steam of my production. I was just really just trying to figure still things out. At that time, Snoop Dogg's album just came out, and then, yo, you need to do shit like this, you know what I'm saying? And like, I didn't want to sound like anybody, so, you know, we got shelved, you know what I'm saying? They put out, Courtney had two artists, two bands, and the other band ended up going before us because they had more structure of what they wanted to do with some kind of reggae hip hop shit that I wasn't even feeling either. And I was ghosting that shit too. I was doing some production and ghosting that, helping them out. But at the end of the day, I wasn't feeling that shit either. And I really didn't focus on it. You know what I'm saying? That was the deal with Atlantic. It kind of fell through. And then the A&R got fired. So you know what happens when the A&R gets fired on a...
Yeah, everything goes... Right. It's like starting all over again.
Correct. So I was signed to them for 3-4 years. I was shelved. I couldn't do anything. So I had a baby. So then I had to be a dad, you know, 21 years old, you know what I'm saying? And I cut out of the music business. I was still doing beats here and there. Then years later, I hooked up with, I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Ripper. He passed away. Yeah, famous freestyler from Miami, one of the biggest, best freestylers in Miami. He had production with the Beat Nuts. He was already out there trying to get some songs. And there was a label down here called Rolly Roll, and they signed me to produce his album. You know, and that's where pretty much I started. That was my next independent shit that I was working with, an independent label, and I started producing for Mike Ripper.
Got you.
Then that fell through, and then I just kept moving from there, doing here and there. But I really just from there, after all that, I started focusing on raising my kid. You know what I'm saying? I really wasn't doing anything crazy. I had to be I had to be a dad, and I ended up having a second kid, you know, and then after that, you know, like 3 years after that, my baby mama passes away. So I had to raise my kids by myself, take care of everything by myself, you know, and hold a job and take care of kids by myself. I don't know if anybody's ever been a single dad, but if you're a
Yeah, it's
father,
tough.
you know what I'm talking about. It's tough. So I had a lot of friends like my boy Fudd. Fudd always, when I was a contractor for Brandsmart and Best Buy, and I used to install refrigerators and TVs and shit like that. And when I couldn't make it home at a certain time, a friend would pick up my kid from the daycare because I was a single dad, you know what I'm saying? So I had somebody to help me. So I had people help me, you know what I'm saying, this and that, but I had to be a dad. I couldn't worry about producing. And I had a studio in the crib. I was making beats for niggas, but I was making beats for local brothers, you know what I'm saying? Nothing,
Right.
nothing too crazy and stuff like that. But I wasn't really taking my career that serious. And people wanted to sign me. There was deals thrown at me, but I wasn't trying to sign to I didn't want to go
Like
major. I
yeah.
wanted to be independent. And I really couldn't get my chips together, because I had kids, nigga. I don't know. Niggas, they don't
Yeah.
want
You were
fucking,
focusing. I get
they want
you.
Ewings, they want
You,
Jordans, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't
yeah.
want the little light up joints. They want fucking the All-Star joint. You know what I'm saying? It gets
Right.
crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Before I pass it off to Sincere, I just wanted to double back on something. You guys, Sincere mentioned about you putting together the Pete Rock and Premier battle or verse.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
you were the first one to come up with that idea, or was that you put it together in
No.
Miami?
They had did it.
They
They
had
had
did
did
it.
it 500 times, 3 or 4 other times around the world in different
Okay.
places, and
Yeah.
then I brought it to Miami.
Got you.
I was the 5th person to bring it ever.
Okay, because
I
I
think
remember.
nobody's ever done it before after that.
No, but I
No,
remember
I
the
don't think
time
so.
when like that was really, you had the Pete Rock and Premier, then all of a sudden there was like other DJs kind of doing, you know, riding the wave.
Trying to do
Yeah.
right.
But okay, I got you.
Originally the idea came from I ended up doing Maceo from De La Soul versus Ali Shaheed Muhammad from Tribe Called Quest. So
Okay.
that was the first one. And then like a couple years passed by and I was like, yo, I gotta definitely do P Rock versus Premier. And then I
Dope.
ended up putting it together and it was a spectacle. Talib
Nice.
Kweli showed up, ended up
All right.
jumping on stage, performing, doing a couple songs. Unexpectedly, he just flew into Miami to do it. Me and Talib go a little far back because when he was starting to DJ and stuff like that, I was helping him get gigs down here, and that I got a strong relationship. Plus, I ended up getting some single performances with him. When I did Jay Dilla Weekend, I booked him to do one of the shows for the Jay Dilla Weekend. I've done a lot with Talib. That's my brother. That's the homie. Shows me a lot of love. Yeah.
No doubt. Before we talk about this new project with Thirstin, can you talk a little bit about some of the production for the artists you produced so far?
Like from Thirstin's album,
No,
or just
just
in general other stuff.
some of the artists that you produced for. We're going to talk about his album in just a minute, but
Okay.
who are some of the artists that you produced for?
Black Rob. I have a good about 6. Black Rob stayed with me for about a good 2 months. He lived in Miami, and at that time I had a big house. I had a big mansion, and I downgraded now because of a divorce. But he lived in the next complex over mine, and he was staying at my friend's house, and I was real close to his friend. Big ups to Che Che and Lily Love. And he just, he needed weed. So we just started hanging out. I had the only weed around the block at that time. And he said, yo, you got a studio? And he came by the studio and I'm working with him. And I work with JT Money. I work with a lot of Miami artists. I work with Planet Asia. I did a whole mixtape with Razkaz. I did remixes for EFN. I did a remix, a Ghost remix for Vanilla Ice. That was like kind of my first releases. It wasn't even under my name. Who else? Man, I produce a lot of instrumental stuff for people, but my main stuff now, like I've really just started focusing on putting stuff out on my own because how do you say it? It wasn't only confidence, but it was just mainly like I didn't want to just push it out there just to push it out there. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of friends of mine that just drop shit all the time, and I'm like, how far does that go? You know what I'm saying? Like like I love my production. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my production is something that's been missing in the world for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I'm you know, downgrading the homie Static or other friends of mine, like, you know, Marco Polo, nothing like that. It's just I hear something else, you know what I'm saying? Like I hear something different, you know what I'm saying? It's still hip hop, it's still boom bap, but you know, I just feel like I have something else to offer, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't mainly confidence, but it was mainly like I'm getting older and shit. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a lot of my friends are passing away and shit, you know, so it's like I want to definitely, you know, provide something and like it's funny, but this project, I finished this project a year and a half ago, and the Thirstin on Heron project,
Thirstin. Yeah, yeah.
right, a year and a half ago, finished, mixed, mastered, done, ready. But what happens is that Thirstin is working all the time, and to get him, like he had other projects lined up, you know, so we really couldn't drop it, and I knew I had heat, you know what I'm saying? I was just, you know, I can't wait to drop this shit. So that's what pretty much where, you know, it all came about.
Talk a little bit about your relationship. How did you guys first meet, and how did you guys get together to work on this new project?
So basically, he has a DJ by the name of DJ XS. His name is Omar. That's Brother Low. That's my homie that's my brother from another mother. Um, XS is he's a big key down here. He's a strong DJ and he's pretty known down here. And me and Classic were DJing a show in Broward for Slick Rick, and uh, XS shows up with Thirstin. I've really never met Thirstin. I've heard of him. I saw him on other stuff. I knew who he was. That time he was in the Spanish market really heavy, but I knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? So when I met him, you know, it was great talking to him. It was, you know, hey, he saw me DJ. You know, he's like, you know, he knew who I was, this and that. And then he lived when I started being the resident DJ for the stage, where I started doing the shows at Raekwon. He literally lived like maybe 4 blocks away from that club. So he started going to all the gigs. So I had a friend of mine that was locked up. His name was Edwin. And it was actually Ray's party. And Edwin was like, yo, nigga, like, yo, Ray's here, this and that. Yo, I can't believe this is crazy. Like, this is your first show. And all of a sudden, comes through the back door, Thirstin Howl with the Low Lives. And my boy Edwin damn near almost fainted. Like he was in awe. He wasn't in awe seeing Ghost. I mean, and Ray. I mean, excuse me. He wasn't in awe seeing Ray. He was in awe seeing Thirstin Howl. Huh. And I'm with Edwin. Edwin's standing next to me, and Thirstin comes give me love and a hug. And Edwin was looking at me like what the fuck? Like, you gotta understand, we in Miami. Understand? Like, a lot of people don't know the culture down here is not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's different down here. You're not gonna find. That's why kind of how I cornered the market, because you're not gonna find what I play and what I do down here. You're not gonna find from anybody else. Yeah. Hands down.
I don't mean to cut you real quick. Were you familiar with Thirstin, or at least the Low Lives, when you were back in Brooklyn?
No,
you didn't.
I didn't know about them.
Okay,
I found out about them. I found out about Thirstin through his music, but I didn't know anything about the Low Life movement.
No.
But then when Edwin saw him, nigga, you don't know who that's the Low Life, nigga. Then Edwin started, you know, giving me the you know, because XS knew the culture, because XS is a Low Life, but XS really didn't tell me all about the boosting and what Thirstin was doing to the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I really didn't know. But I showed Thirstin love anyway, because he showed me love. I'm not that kind of nigga, like, just because you're this nigga, I show the same love that you the janitor or you Ray and Ghost. You know what I'm saying? I'm that dude, you know what I'm saying? So I got friends from every angle. From the smallest guy that's cleaning cars or doing whatever, to high exec CEOs with Fortune 500 companies that, you know, because I keep it thorough like that. I don't like to have beef in the streets with nobody. I like to love everyone. You know what I'm saying? It's better to love and not love, brother. You know, and I learned that the hard way because I was arrogant for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? But not arrogance because of being who I was. I was arrogant because some niggas just didn't understand the culture, and they just didn't understand why I was fighting so hard for certain things to be the way they were. Like, oh, why can't we hire DJ Sapo Breath to fucking no? Because DJ Sapo Breath doesn't play what I play. That nigga plays fucking Drake. So nobody want to hear Drake. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I had to go through that shit and teach niggas down here. So there's only a handful of niggas down here that I could really count on and book to be like, yo, this nigga, he can DJ here. This nigga, you know, and that's how I kept it thorough. I got pretty much the most hated DJ in Miami of being that dude because all the known niggas weren't playing up to what I was doing. And it's funny because my brother Entice, who's the biggest DJ in Miami as far as from 99 Jams, the radio DJ, he comes to my gigs because he can't play what I play. He's brought me to 99 Jams and sat me down with the program director to give me a job at the radio station, and I turned it down because they want me to play the shit they want to play, and I can't play what I want to play. You know, I want to play leaders. I want to play some shit. Like, you're not going to tell me I got to play Drake, nigga. Not that I'm down in Drake, but I don't play that shit. You know what I'm saying? I play Doom, nigga. Like, you don't know what that is. I play shit that you don't know. You know, Buckshot, nigga. Like, so I turned it down. I turned it down with 2 radio stations. The 2 main radio stations down here, I turned down both jobs, literally, because it's the same thing. They needed me more than I needed them. I was so hot in the streets. I was doing fucking sneaker openings. Like, sneaker stores were just booking me to DJ, and I had 150 people show up because there was nobody playing that shit. You know, so I was really hot at that time. So I was getting booked for this, that, all in Miami, all around. But I was one of the hottest just playing that shit, you know what I'm saying? But the hate is real down here. I can see that. You know, but it's hard down here. It's not, because a lot of people don't understand the culture down here. They see the culture. They may think they know the culture, but they really, you know, it's kind of hard to explain to them. Yeah, nigga, I used to wear white gloves when I used to pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't.
yeah.
White gloves. Some niggas understand. Yeah, nigga, I used to have linoleum in my bedroom. Like, you know, like, it just, they don't get it. You know what I'm saying? They don't get it. So it's kind of hard, you know, at the same time to try to teach the culture, bring people to your events, not lose, maintain your family, and still put out records and maintain, you know, your status of where you at. You know what I'm saying? So you get hated upon. Niggas be like, nah, he plays all that old shit. Nigga, all right. It's okay. Don't book me. Niggas will book me.
For as long as you've been in Miami and Florida, you never lost that New York accent, though, bro.
No, that's another thing too. They can't stand that shit there. No, they can't stand it. I love Miami. Yo, Miami's been great to me, man. Like, I can't. It's done a lot for me. Like, I've done a lot down here, independently and mentally and physically. But it's a struggle down here, man. It's real. And I'm one of the few motherfuckers that can walk through the hoods. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when I got down here, there was so much beef with New York not liking Miami niggas, how we dressed. I was dressed in some straight leg, shiny shit, some Buffalinos, you know, a shirt, hat, and fitted, you know, listening to Biz Markie, and they're listening to Luke with straight leg, taping pants. You know, like, there was a whole different culture. And how I got along with everybody was I didn't hate. You know, I let them do their thing, you know, like, and then it didn't work. It was actually better because Chris used to live right in the hood, like right down the block from Washington Street, where it was a big hood in North Miami Beach, where we went to school at. So we used to DJ there since we didn't have no gigs and stuff like that. When we didn't have gigs, we'd go there to Mr. Williams' barbecue spot and practice. And, you know, we were there with the records, and people would see the spinning. Rest in peace, my boy Ren. Rest in peace, my boy Ari. They would do the dancing, the graffiti, and we would bring it all there to the hood, you know. So all the brothers, because my boy Andy, and they would all see Chris because Chris was the main DJ,
Gotcha.
and we all backed up Chris. Chris Classic was one of the main persons. I carried his records with no hate, with honor and love. I carried his records because this was the guy everybody was listening to. Everybody was booking Chris. So, so that's pretty much where we had the respect from our peers down here, where these guys are just not, playing regular shit. We're playing some shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it all came about.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the idea and the concept you and Thirstin came up with for this remix project?
Well, the idea came about. Thirstin, about 2 years ago, he handed a bunch of DJs a lot of his music because he was trying to get some mixtapes done, and then he handed me on that file. There was like 20 acapellas, and then it says, "Listen, Thirst, I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. I hate doing mixtapes. I'll DJ, but I hate doing mixtapes. And the reason is why is because I'm so thorough with them. Like, this needs that and needs this, and it gets to be a pain in the ass for me because I want to add more and I want to do more and I want to do this and it just becomes tedious for me. And I don't know how to stop and turn in shit and be like, no, that's it. I'm done. The last mixtape I actually did was for Razkaz. And EFN had hooked it up. And I even told EFN, was like, EFN from Drink Champs. I'm like, I don't, like, yo, H, please, man. I do this for me. Like, he really didn't beg or nothing, but it was a good opportunity. And I had done some other stuff with Raz, with some other stuff. I had booked him at some parties. So I said, fuck it. Let me do this last mix. And I don't want to do no mixtapes after this. But that was pretty much my last mixtape. And it came out really good. Came out really dope. But I see my boy DJ Mega from Orlando. That nigga does a mixtape every week. Like, he drops one. Like, that's big, bro. And not that I get it. He collects the music and it's good. It's not. But bro, the patience, man, and grab all that shit, put it all together. I salute all them brothers, man. Like, I don't have the patience for that shit.
Right. So. Yeah. No. So I'm just gonna say.
Doing that when I got the acapellas and stuff like that, I told Thurston, listen, man, I'd rather just take your acapellas and remix it and do that. Okay, nobody's doing that. Let's do that then. It's like so, and that's where I started working on the project, and I started picking the acapellas. I did something with Sadat X on there. There's another joint with the Beat Nuts and the Alcoholics. There's also a joint with Sean Price and General Steel. Man, the project is really, really dope, and I went in on the beats. Like it came out something really, really epic. Like, that's why I can't wait for everybody to really hear this. I'm about to do a DJ drop, so I can get all the guys from Sirius and to get the word out more on the singles. But it's been doing its thing, man. The song, that first song has been doing its its little thing. You know what I'm saying?
So were you as far as picking the acapellas, was that all you? Did you sit down with Thirstin? How did that go about?
No, it was all me. I picked it all out myself.
Okay.
I pretty much how it happened was I told Thirstin, I told this, I'm gonna remix the project, I'm gonna do this and that, and then I'll talk to you in 6 months. That's how pretty much it happened. I put everything together, everything, mixed it, everything, this and that, and then I kept me and XS, since I'm real close to XS, his DJ, I started letting him hear it. Like, okay, listen to this. Oh yeah, that's the one. Okay, boom, because I kept doing beats to other stuff, mixing down and figuring out, the beats to the acapellas. So XS had a big part was, okay, yeah, that sounds dope or not. And at that time, XS was only a DJ, and XS was starting to write a little lyricism and doing some stuff like that, testing the waters with his vocals and stuff like that. And from there, like, he started just writing. He started writing a lot of stuff that now, after the Thirstin project is done, I got an album with XS called Grupo Henny, and that shit is about to take off. it's a boom bap album with no samples.
Ooh,
No
nice.
samples.
Okay.
And my brother Nando, that's how the name Grupo Henny came about. It's Heron, Nando, and Excess. Nando's a salsero, and that's why with him being on keys and us, me on the behind the drums, it came out an epic project. Like it's no samples involved. So we've been dropping the first stuff we've been dropping has samples. It's just to get people to get to know the project and stuff like that. But we've been just dropping little trails of little stuff, so just to get people attention and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just to get a little taste of the project. But we dropped 2 singles already on the project, and they're not even on the album. It's just 6 singles that we put with samples just to help promote the album and promote the project. So Excess was a big part of picking out, like making sure that the songs, every time I finished one, I'd send it right to him, and he listened to it and said, yeah, that's the one. And that. So after I finished the project, then I called Thirstin and I set up something. I had everything mixed down. And then I had him listen to it, and I crossed my fingers. Hopefully he liked everything. Right. And then there were certain things he didn't like, and then there were certain things like, I love. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I fixed the certain things that he didn't like, and then he ended up loving it, and that's how the project came about.
And I see you guys have a couple of features on there: Sean Price, General Steel, Sadat X.
Yes.
Have they heard this project? Like, has anybody from?
I think the Beatnuts heard one song.
The Beatnuts, okay.
They heard one song when they were here, and I test a lot of my shit while I'm doing my set, and I don't tell anybody that it's mine. You know what I'm saying? I do a lot of that. Just check out this record I found. You know what I'm saying? I don't have my name on it or nothing. And then that shit's hard. Like, where'd you get that at? And then they look at the screen and they'll say my name. Nigga, you did that. Like, I don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy shit. So when niggas start finding out and I started, doing shit like that, the word just got out more. That's actually my remix. That's my song. So it got to a point I started really just playing my own songs on sets and stuff like that. So just testing waters with the product.
Gotcha. Now, what are the plans for the album as far as releasing it? Is that all independent? Any distributors? What are the plans?
We go over the distributor. The regular distribution, but definitely, you can go to my website and then definitely you can pick up a USB drive, commemorative drive, with the album and pictures on it. You know what I'm saying? It's something for you to take home for the event. You know what I'm saying? And it's because, bro, these DSPs ain't playing shit, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like Apple Music and Tidal, they ain't, pennies to the dollar, bro. Like, so I figure if I sell my own shit, you know what I'm saying, on my own website, I'm gonna try to, really boost that. But at the same time, it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We haven't dropped any of the singles yet because I want the DJs to have it first. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But as far as for we have 2 more videos. We have 3 videos that we did. We did the Sean Price video, and then there's actually 4 videos. There's the the Sean Price song, and then there's another one, and then we have another one called NGB that I have to change some stuff to it. But all the visuals are done and everything was pretty much done. We pretty much had all our ducks in a row before we dropped this project. That's why I guess that's kind of why it's working so well, and I'll be happy because, oh no, I have to wait for the song to get mastered, or I have to wait for this to, everything's done.
Gotcha.
all the videos and everything's done, all the content is done. So everything that we're doing now is pretty much just little flyers here, posts here, ads here, Jerry helping us get out there, you know what I'm saying? All those things and pushing those things, intertwining and trying to get the social media behind it and the aspects of it. It's pushing, you know what I'm saying? It's doing its legwork and doing what it's got to do.
Is it too early to say, or have you guys had any discussion as far as how, depending on how this project goes, you think there will be anything between you and Thirstin as far as not like just a remix album, but an actual album where Yes,
I have a couple songs out of the album. Besides that, we have this big New York. We have this great New York record that it's incredible. This record is This record, I'm gonna be honest, and it's probably one of the biggest records that's not on the album. It's on some other project that he wants to put on,
Okay.
and it's a big, 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 big record. It's huge. The New York record that Thirstin has on the Chamber is huge. I mean, the track and everything, the verse on it, the chorus. It could be probably New York's next anthem if it gets out right. If I guess with it. It's that hot. Like, it's that big.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this is one of me and E's favorite projects right now. We've been blasting it since we got it. When's the official release date on this?
On Thursday, February 20th is official release for the album release.
Very dope. After this album does its thing, what's next for DJ Heron?
I got a project that I'm working on with Gridlock Production House 305 down here. It's called House of Heron, where I take an MC, I blindfold him, and then he goes through my record collection, picks out 3 records, and then we go to my studio, my equipment, and we put I put the beat together, and he writes the verse, and my boy films it as we're doing it. And we did 12 episodes, and the first episode's about to drop in 2 weeks. So that's next. And then after I got the House of Heron project, we're going to drop like 2 episodes a month. I got 12 episodes, so within 6 months, have 2 episodes pop out. Then on top of that, I have the Grupo Henny project with XS coming out in the middle of April. And that project is insane. It's really like it's somehow some next level shit. Like, it's on some next level boom bap shit, because there's no samples. It's really just like us going in on the keys. You know, Nando really, you know, he's a genius when it comes to stuff like that. You know, when you got a brother that really knows music behind your drums, it's a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? It changes everything.
Where those episodes you were just talking about, where can people catch that at?
It's gonna be on YouTube, and I'm gonna have them on my website also on djheron.com. But they're gonna pretty much be on YouTube, and Jerry's gonna be behind that too to push that out. But so I'll have something for you guys in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you get a taste of it and stuff like that. So you can
dope. Please do.
If you go to my Instagram and you go to some, you can see some of the work already, like some of the promo that's out on it. You know what I'm saying? Some of the House of Heron promo on it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Any more for Dilla weekends out there?
Man, you and Mrs. Yancey and everybody down here wants it to happen. The only problem is just the funds, man. Like, at that time, it was a different time, and the funds are crazy. And now that, you know, and what happened also down here, that there's a lack of venues down here. You know, there's like the stuff where I used to work at and stuff like you know, Grand Central, the Green Room and stuff like that. They've all closed down. They're all high rises now. Downtown Miami looks like Midtown New York right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the rent down here is like 4 to 5 G's for 1 bedroom. You know, it's ridiculous, you know, and there's very little limited jobs that even pay for that rent. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of struggle going on down here. And, you know, they closed down those clubs and we didn't have nowhere to do shit. You know what I'm saying? So we had to reinvent ourselves, and, you know, the stage had closed down also. You know, it's just how things are. People, you know, lose shit. You know what I'm saying? So we had, thanks to Revolution Live and some other places and stuff like that, we still kept going. Big ups to Dan Green and Clockworth. You know, like Dan, we teamed up and we created Legends Only, and we've been doing shows. You know, this weekend I just did Stove God, you know, and in Fort Lauderdale, you know, Stove God Cooks. So, and, you know, we're the curators. As far as down here, like, we're the only ones down here doing shows, like any hip hop shows or anything like that. The only ones. Like, Westside Gun only performs with us. Like, the past, our Basils, we didn't do it this year. We did Stove God by himself, but all year I worked at my friend's venue putting it together so we could do Art Basel. Art Basel's like a a week event down here. It's like graffiti on drugs
Yeah,
on
yeah,
crack
yeah,
down
yeah.
here.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. So every year I do the biggest hip hop shows in in Art Basel. Last year I did Jadakiss Currency and Gun Basel 2. I did Gun Basel 1 in a house in Alapata, in my friend's house in Alapata, and I fit 1,000 people in his backyard. That was Gun Basel 1. That's because there's no venues down here. The venues are charging for Art Basel. For you to do an event down here, they're charging about maybe 15,000, 20,000 just to rent. Doesn't make sense, bro. I pay my
Man.
boy 5 G's in his crib. I take his backyard. It looks like a Sweet
Right,
16 back there, but it's a sound
right.
system and things is, in the meantime, I take his other yard, I put like 40 weed vendors, and then do a session out of it at the same time. Right before West Side Gun gets on stage, I got like 12 cops trying to come into the venue because we're in the middle of the neighborhood and nobody can sleep. So, man, there's some stories. We had a write-up on Rolling Stone on that. So every time West Side Gun has ever been performed, he's performed for the WWF, but any other shows he's ever performed has been with Legends Only and Clockwest and Addictive Affairs. That's with us. He doesn't perform with anybody else. So this year, hopefully, and Dan just texted me that, hopefully this year we'll be doing Gun Basel 3 for Art Basel. And when he comes, he brings everybody from Benny to Conway to Armani C, to everybody. He brings everybody. And I knew about ST way before anybody knew the ST. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of ST and stuff like that, but I'm saying to the point where, being close to the West Side Gun and him, locking down the culture like that, it was easy for us to intertwine and stuff like that. Like I was the first one to bring Benny the Butcher to Miami before anybody knew who Benny was. I brought him to Orlando. That's when I could afford. I was also the first one to bring Wiz Khalifa down here too.
Word.
Yeah, I got Wiz Khalifa for $3,500 when Wiz Khalifa was starting out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to understand, I was that guy. Same with ASAP. Who else? Absol. There was no Absol. I ended up getting Absol for a couple G's. Brought him to Fort Lauderdale. So I ended up doing a lot of this. Boldy James also. Same with Stove God. Before they were all famous. I ended up working with these guys before they blew up. You know what I'm saying? So because I did that, I get the love. You know what I'm saying? The homie Lookout. I've known Conway and Benny for years and Westside and stuff like that for years. Those are fam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They know me personally. Like really well.
So, yeah, you mentioned EFN like twice throughout the show. I'm just curious because I've heard him talk a lot about how he was involved with the hip hop scene early on. Did you guys end up? Yeah, did you guys end up working a lot together?
EFN is fan. I've known EFN for years, man. Like we used to be on the same radio stations down here in Miami. And I come on, you see each other, in the groove of things, and I mean, there was no beef or anything, but there was always that, okay, you EFN and I'm Heron, but I wasn't really known as Heron, but we knew each other because of all the stuff that I was doing, all the sindicato stuff that I was doing, and all like he was a big supporter and he helped me out a lot, and I got nothing but love for all the crazy hood homies and all of EFN and Nori and that and I have a big heart with those brothers. They there's only a lot of people you can count on, in the business down here, and the relationship I have with EFN is big. I consider him like a legend and family. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
The same with his crew, like Drain, just all the homies, man. I mean Garcia. Bo, everybody, you know what I'm saying? All the homies, like everybody from EFN's crew, Crazy Hood, that's all family.
Yeah. Nice.
We want to thank you for sharing this new project with us, all the details. Big shout out to Jerry for connecting us. Before we get out here, can you shout out your social media and where we can keep up with you and everything you got going on?
Sure, definitely. Everything it pretty much is DJ_Heron, Heron. You can find it on Twitter and Instagram there. And then if anything, just go to my website, djheron.com. And you can see I don't have none of the House of Heron stuff up. Literally, I just got the website up 2 weeks ago because I had to get everything ready before Thirstin's project came out. But you can go on there and see all the stuff that I'm getting ready to drop. The Grupo Henny link is on there. You can peep that. But everything's on djheron.com, if anything.
So, well, like Sincere said, man, we appreciate you taking the time, man. It's been a pleasure. The project sounds dope. We can't wait for the official release of it. You can count on us to help push it, man. We'll be putting it out on both our platforms as well as changing of the Hip Hop Guards platform.
You guys are based out of New York?
I'm in New York. Sincere's in Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of linked up, connected, and we've been doing this for about almost 3 years now. We were both doing our thing individually, and we just decided to join forces, man, and have dope artists and guests like yourself on our show.
Dope, man. I appreciate the platform. Yeah, I appreciate you guys doing this for the culture. Very well.
Thank you.